Hello Leo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Leo December 2021 Astrology Must Knows Horoscope Forecast. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com because that is the interface for all of the free goodies that I make for you each month, and there are a lot of them, so you don't want to miss anything that I make for you to help you make the most of the starry opportunities. Also, if you would love to earn money with your love of astrology as an astrologer, I can help you do that. You can go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com, and see my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. Also at that same site, I have free courses on health and wellness and creating money. So if you're abundantly challenged, you can check out that free course there. This is for you if Leo is your sun sign or your moon sign or your rising sign or any other Leo placement that you watch for. I know a lot of my crew goes very deep into their charts, and I appreciate that. And so this is a piece of your astrological picture regardless of your Leo placement. If you're a late degree Leo, so if your birthday is around August 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees, then I also suggest you watch my Virgo reports, because you late degree friends have a little more complex read and you'll get pieces from the Leo and the Virgo reports. So we've got 5 main things that are going on this month, and they are all big. I'm going to give you the list, and then we're going to go into all of them very deeply. So the first is the solar eclipse at 12 degrees of Sagittarius on December 4th. And this eclipse is the last in the cycle. We'll talk about that. The next very important must know is that Venus is going into retrograde. Venus, the ruler of love, beauty, money, relationships, finances, aesthetics, self-esteem, is going to go offline. So we want to see what that means in general and what that means specifically for Leo. We're also going to talk about how the personal planets moving through Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn may affect you, and what areas of life are highlighted for you. Then we'll talk about that Saturn and Uranus square, which is a mega aspect that's been a long-term aspect, so we'll touch on that. Then we will talk about this brand new news of Jupiter going into Pisces for real this time. We had a dip into it this summer or winter for you all down under, so we'll talk about what that means specifically for Leo. All right, so let's start at the top of our list, December 4th, solar eclipse, 12 degrees of Sag. This is the epic conclusion to the eclipse series that started around March 2020 when the world shut down, and all of the aspects of the experience with coronavirus that has ruled education, where to learn from, home, school, what all those things are going on there, work from home or not, international connections, short distance travel, long distance travel, anything having to do with our social connections has had ties to this Gemini Sagittarius eclipse. So we are coming to a conclusion there. I am hoping for many people that means some return to normalcy, the new normal, of course, with COVID being woven into our experience. But there are definitely chapters that are closing here and new chapters are opening. So this has been an eclipse series, although it might have brought some challenges for Leo placements. It hasn't come from the fact that you're a Leo placement. If you've had challenges from these eclipses, it's because of some other aspects in your chart, because for Leo connections, this has been quite favorable. So you do have the potential to have major boosts to everything that Sag rules, which we listed those: teaching, learning, different languages, cultures, international travel, things like that can come alive in a big way. And specifically for Leos, your creativity sector is getting burst into a whole new level. Leo energy rules the 5th house of creativity, and Sagittarius, not just this eclipse, but also other planets moving through Sag at this time, are all highlighting your creativity sector. So between the Sag planets and the eclipse, then you've got such a chance to take your creativity up to the next level. If you might find the desire to be out in front of people showing what you got, and you should have plenty of opportunities to do that, especially with connections from the past as this Venus retrograde rolls in, which we'll talk about later. You also are going to see a lot of expansion in the house of children. So some of you might be having babies, you might be pregnant or find out that you are, or you might be having notable milestones or things going on that are very exciting with the kids that you have, or people around you could be having kids, and that child energy can be brought more into your life, but that energy is very strongly aspected at this time. If you are a person who loves to be out performing, singing, dancing, even doing athletics, anything, singing, fashion, anything that puts you in the eye of other people looking at you, all of those things are beautifully enhanced at this time, and you'll have lots of opportunities to express yourself in new, wonderful ways, and also some ways from the past that you have done that might make a little resurgence at this time. In general, the Sag energies are all over the place. They're scattered, but they do make the best angle in all of astrology for you as a Leo. So it's a very supportive time. It's a time where everything glows and is amplified for you. And it also makes this most favorable aspect in all of astrology. So just definitely expect blessings there. So all Leos have a chance for positive goodies from this eclipse. But those of you who are closer to 12 degrees, so between 7 and 17 degrees, the closer the 12 degrees, the more intense. And you can see this if you run your birth chart, as I mentioned before, which you can do now when you go to anniehelpsyou.com and sign up for my free email newsletter. But if you don't know that information and you don't look it up, then if you're watching for your sun in Leo, birthdays closest to August 2nd or so the last couple of days of July and the first week of August, the closer to around August 2nd, the most positive direct hit from this eclipse. So I suggest to learn more about how these eclipses may affect you, first of all, to watch my November report, because that will talk about the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse cycle that's starting, and that eclipse in November is still going to be affecting you in December. So that is part of the December profile here. The next thing is to watch my eclipses and Sagittarius video. All of these eclipse videos you can find on my YouTube homepage. Go to Annie Botticelli YouTube homepage, scroll down to the eclipses eclipse playlist, or you can search organically online for each of them. But eclipses in Sagittarius will be relevant for all Leos. Eclipses in 5th house / Leo will be relevant for you all, because that's the house that's aspected. And those of you who are August born, I also suggest that you watch the video for eclipses in Cancer, because you will energetically, in the Placidus chart, also have chances for manifestations in that home, family, housing, real estate, home-based project and work sector. And so you can see more details about that for the August born or 11 to 29 degrees. Okay, so we've got a good picture of those Sag planets and the eclipse. Another thing to know about the Sag energies is that they are all over the place, and it will light your fires in amazing ways. Yes, you will be lit up creatively. Yes, you will have a good chance of being more optimistic and hopeful and happy, and increasing your solution-oriented focus. And at the same time, you're going to be super busy. And it's not just because of the holidays. Whenever the planets get into Sagittarius, we think, oh, it's December, we're busy because of the holidays. It's December, we're busy because it's the end of the year. But really, we're crazy busy because those energies in Sag require it. So even if Sag were in the middle of the year and not at a holiday time, we would still have things be at a frenetic pace. So things will be spinning. It will be harder to keep your center and harder to stay grounded. But most of it will be very, very positive. And the thing to watch out for is just burning out. You know, too much of a good thing and too much sizzling around and expression. You might need extra rest, or your nervous system might need more support or supplements or something like that. Okay, so let's talk about our next must know here. On December 19th, we have Venus going into retrograde. We're going to be talking about these 5 events and their dates in this report, but if you want a write-up of all of the sweet and salty dates and all the aspects and what they are and what to expect from them, you also get that when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. So Venus rules love and relationships and romance and money and finances and income and aesthetics and beauty and design and self-esteem. So you can see why I have to talk a lot about this, because it rules so many areas of life and ones that really matter to people. So now it's going to go offline. What does it mean? I'm going to give you a summary, but I'm also going to refer you to some other resources. The comprehensive nature of my approach towards astrology is impossible to put everything that I think is important for you to know into one video, and it would be too much for you. So that's why I have everything separated out, and why I refer you to get additional information in other videos. So if you search for Annie Botticelli, Venus retrograde, my YouTube video will give you a major download of what you need to know. And there is a lot, because there are a lot of major do's and don'ts. and ways that you can make use of the energy and not have it work against you. I also have a Venus retrograde through the signs and houses at AnnieHelpsYou.com. And you can specifically look for Venus in Capricorn or 10th house, because that's what the sign is. And then you can look for Venus in Virgo or the 6th house, because that's going to be what Leos are experiencing. The later you are in August, the more you are also going to have Venus in the 5th house or Leo energies as well. So you can use those resources to deepen your understanding. And I also give a lot of inner work suggestions for how to work with issues that might come up with Venus accentuating these places for you. So what do we need to know? You have goggles on, or you're under a spell, a love spell, a money spell, and you're not seeing clearly in love, beauty, and money. That's the basic bottom line. It's a major must know. So that means that any decisions based, on those topics, if they're big ones and they're not easy to change, you might want to not do those in the time of the Venus retrograde time. Venus is retrograde from December 19th through January 29th, but the pre-transit shadow period starts November 18th, and the post-shadow transit goes until March 2nd. So it's a very long time for Venus to be offline here, and it's a very long time to not be seeing clearly. So the best way to handle this is, again, with thinking of the spider that I always like to use as example, and also that the tides are coming in. If you just sit and let the web that you've made bring in your food, and you deal with things as they come to you and things that are close to you instead of trying to push something out, you'll be so much better off. If some deal comes to you and you have a chance to activate something, you can take it, but you just have to remember that trying to force something, trying to make something happen, trying to push your, throw your message in a bottle or get your boat out to sea when the tide is coming in, the boat and the message in the bottle are going to come back to the shore. So this is a time when everything is coming inwards and going backwards. In November, especially up through the 18th, and then again in March, we've got these big tides are going out, pushes for your new things, the things you want to travel really far and wide, your launches, your big decisions on big things you can't fix easily or high stakes projects. But for the retrograde time, the rules are if you do low stakes things. An example of a low stakes thing would be you go around your house and see some things are, broken, and you just start replacing things that are not expensive, new garden lights, new throw pillows, paint a wall, do some touch-ups, where you focus your aesthetics and your money spending on affordable things that are easy to change. If you repaint your whole gigantic house in Venus retrograde, the odds are that it's going to get botched up somehow, or you're going to decide you hate the color. Or it's going to be more expensive than you thought, and that's going to cut the project short or cause some other problems. So again, you just stick to those nice, it's great for sprucing up and for even, getting some new clothes and things like that. But save your big wardrobe purchases for the times out of Venus retrograde, unless you can afford it or you're getting a smoking deal. And that's something else to know, a major must know about Venus retrograde, is that it can bring in smoking deals. And so if you're getting a deal or you can afford it, then you can spend freely. It doesn't matter. It's just the high stakes, not easy to change things like body art or enhancements that are not fixable, or if they don't go well, won't be easy to solve. Those are the kinds of things to avoid in the Venus retrograde. But definitely get up to date with all of the resources that I've created for you for that. Okay, now let's talk about the fact that Venus is in Capricorn. This is going to cast things into question with your finances, with your business, with your work, with your employment. It's going to make you ask questions and reconsider things that you're doing, and possibly consider going back to some things from the past. It is a good time to experiment. It's a good thing to try things on, and it's a good time to brainstorm and do research for future big decisions. It's also going to possibly bring up the topics of money and something with your parents or your father figure or authority or authority figures or bosses. That is very likely to come up. And things in your workspace are very likely to come up. Anything that's unresolved in love, beauty, money, self-esteem from the past is likely to come up again in some form or another. But you don't have to fear this, because it helps you to get it actually healed. But it also can bring good things from the past, like money from past jobs, business from past contacts, rekindling love, romance, either in your current relationship or someone from the past coming back to you. And there are lots of ways that the Venus retrograde can really bring benefits. You're also going to reconsider some of how you spend money with your daily routine. You'll be reevaluating your supplements, your health plan, your diet. Any place that you spend money for your health, wellness, or organizational systems are going to definitely come under scrutiny, and you might be trying some different things on there. Okay, so Capricorn makes a challenged aspect to Leo, so you will be feeling a little extra in the love and money and self-esteem sector at this time. But again, you don't have to fear that. You always have to remember that when we talk about sweet aspects, then it's yay, those are sweet, and there's really nothing else to know there. When we talk about challenged aspects, sometimes people get afraid because those are the ones that bring stress and sometimes drama and issues. But if you learn to think about them as creating necessary friction for necessary change, then it reframes the whole thing. So there are certain changes that need to happen in your health, in your wellness, in your business, in your work, in your money, in your relationships. And there's friction being applied to show you exactly where those changes need to be made. So that's exciting because you'll have direction about what you need to do, or at least the conversation will be opened up. Okay, so we also have Mars continuing to move through Scorpio, and this is possibly bringing some antagonism in some of your close relationships, and that is okay. It also could have to do with homes and housing and real estate and things like that, or collaborations in that space. So you are going to have a little bit come up there, but if you can get through whatever the points of non-agreement, then there's a very good chance that you'll be able to move forward with the support you need to enhance your home and housing and family space. Okay, the Capricorn energies will start to help you bring focus and like discipline, but it's not going to be super easy to be very disciplined until those Sag energies pass. So more towards the end of the month of December and into January, you'll be able to be more disciplined. So if you're trying to start a new routine or trying to start something that requires discipline or daily focus, and you're getting distracted in the earlier part of December, then you'll probably start to be able to hone in more as the month goes on. Okay, so the next major must know is that on December 24th, and this had happened on February 14th and June 14th, it's happening now. It's going to happen again from August through November of 2022. We've got the epic Saturn-Uranus square going on. Now, this is something we've not stepped away from for the whole year, but it has and will again increase in intensity. But sometimes that increase in intensity can bring solutions from the previous problems. We have this continued clash in our personal experience and our community and country and global situations of old versus new, tradition versus innovation, old foundations being tested and new ideas coming in, but being sort of fledgling or erratic and not really having a grounding or foundation to hold them in place. And this story of, tradition versus technology or newness is definitely coming up. Also the topics of being enslaved versus being free, and the very many ways that has happened in history and is happening currently. There are many different definitions of this. There's a subjective experience of this. Many people feel enslaved in many areas of their lives, to an addiction, to their job, to something in their relationship, to something in society. And so the topics of freedom are going to be very, very strongly coming up again. Some, progress might be made, but also some things might be reversed. It's just an ongoing conversation and an ongoing evaluation of the topics of freedom and what that means for different people at different times. So you'll see that coming up. Now, one big must know about this is that the desire to be really hasty to try to make a sweeping change is not necessarily going to be very well supported if you don't have a foundation for your new thing. So the answer might be to initiate in the new while you're still holding on to pieces of the old, so that you have something that serves as a structure to fill in the new pieces, because something new without a structure, is just like a little baby sapling. It's very, very fragile, and it's very, very precarious. Its life is very precarious. So this is what we're working with. There are a lot of new things coming in, but we don't necessarily have the foundation set. And until we do, we can't discard the old. So if you're wanting to do something in one fell swoop, it might be a little bit difficult, but do know that progress is being made and new foundations are being laid, and you can focus on the best ways to get the most of what you want in the long term, not just the short term. And some hasty actions now might cause something in the short term that's good, but not for the long term. An example of this is how it might feel to eat a goodie that we know isn't good for us. In that moment, you feel the freedom and you feel happy, but then in the long term, you're still a slave to the sugar, right? So that is like, it's like the question or topic of pleasure versus long-term happiness and passion and purpose, So it's like evaluating these things. The same thing with spending money. If an individual or a country or anybody spends money that they don't have, then in that moment, there's that freedom of, here's this money. But then in the long term, you have to pay the money back. And that creates being enslaved to the repayment. So there's just this story of being sustainable with our efforts and looking for the ways that we need to kind of hem in and looking for the ways where we need to branch out. Okay. So the last major must-know, December 28th, Jupiter moves into Pisces. We did have a little dance with this in the summer of 2021, or the winter for you all down under, when Jupiter just popped into Pisces for a short time. And now from the end of December through around May 11th, we're going to have the full push through Pisces. Then it's going to hit just the last couple of degrees of Pisces towards the end of 2022 again, before it's back in Aries fully. Now, I will let you know right off the bat that Jupiter moving through Pisces is not as easy for Leos as Jupiter moving through Aries will be. So if you're having any trouble as Jupiter moves into Pisces and it's, kind of making you feel bogged down or making you have to go back over emotional things and you feel like you're going backwards more than forwards, once Jupiter gets into Aries in May, you're going to really soar, because that means the great benefic of the sky is going to try and make the most favorable aspect in all of astrology for you. So we got to go through a little bit of an internal process as Jupiter's in Pisces, where the focus is fine-tuning your intuition. The focus is shoring up your emotional experience and the aspects of your relationship that relate to how other people feel based on things that you do and how you feel in your relationships. So it's kind of like an internal slowing down, looking back over things and starting to really connect with your intuition, talk to your body. Some of the things that Leos, as they're, creative and putting out a lot of energy, might sometimes come at the expense of listening to your own body and listening to your own intuition. And so this is a time where you have an opportunity to get those things balanced out. And we can best see this energetically when we think about the left hemisphere of the brain and the right hemisphere of the brain. We've got the logic, and then we've got the intuition and creativity. And people have these forces, be predominant in different degrees in their lives at different times. But ideally, we access our super genius the more we balance those hemispheres of the brain, and the more we use the best of logic and the more we use the best of intuition. So our goal is to balance those hemispheres, and anything that you can do to do that will be really helpful at this time. And if you think about it that way, that is what your goal is. So it's time for Leo to listen to their bodies. It's time for Leo to listen to their intuition, and it's time for Leo to start to fine-tune and better discern how to put forth their creative efforts. Okay, this is a very big one, because Leos can create for the sake of itself. Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun rules desire and creativity in the chart. So that's why all of the Leos that we know have this enhanced creative space. But what can happen is there's just a whole lot of creation going on, and sometimes over the longer term, if you look to see are you getting the outcomes you want, you might not be. It's creativity for the sake of itself, and sometimes that's okay. But if you're having some goals you're trying to expand that creativity into, then listening to spirit and asking for synchronicities to show up, to guide you about where of the many creative efforts you have, where are you supposed to hone in, that's going to start to make you more efficient with your energy and balance this logic and intuition. So it's a very exciting time. Something else that is a must know is that as Jupiter is moving into the 8th house for Leo, that is aspecting the part of your chart of other people's money. So the chance for financial windfalls, people just giving you money, you winning money, having support, winning lawsuits, getting inheritances, any kind of financial or even emotional or any kind of support is going to be increased as Jupiter moves through this place. And all of you will have this activated in the times from the end of December through into May. Those of you who are more into August and the later August born, you're going to have this go on for longer. It's going to stretch out beyond May. But either way, everybody is getting their piece here. And so if I definitely don't condone addictive gambling. I don't think that it's healthy, but having an intuition to buy a lotto ticket or, having that nudge and playing a slot machine, those are the kind of things that, and also investments, things like that. Now, it might not necessarily be a time to put everything you have in one bucket, because we talked about with the Venus retrograde and not seeing clearly and blah, 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 all that, right? But there's still this focus on investments and money and other people's resources and spousal money and family money and collaborative projects that Jupiter is wanting to expand for you in a big way. And it does enhance your money luck. I like to tell a story sometime about when I had Jupiter moving through my 8th house. This is when I was starting to get into astrology, but I didn't realize this at the time. I figured this out years later. I went through a phase where I was just winning stuff like crazy. I was finding cash around, just money. There were little sweepstakes things at my corporate job that I had at the time. It got to the point that people that knew me, when they wanted to win something at one of our events, they were like, here, put your name in and win this thing for me. And I actually did that for somebody, one of my friends. So retrospectively, I saw that Jupiter was in my 8th house at that time. And it makes sense because I was more magnetic to those types of things. And you are going to be more magnetic to those types of things. Also, solving mysteries or reading mysteries or studying about spirituality is going to be greatly enhanced with this Jupiter transit at this time. So there's definitely a continued long-term focus on your relationship space, the enhancement of your relationship space, the expansion of it, and the bringing in of important key relationships, and clearing out of karma and stepping into higher levels of your relationship experience. Okay, so I have given you a massive amount of information and must-knows to help you make the most of this month and to know what could be coming so that you can best prepare for it. If you want to have even more information, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. Sign up for my free email newsletter. On the AnnieHelpsYou.com site, you'll see the interface for all the free things that I do for you each month, and there are so many. When you sign up for my free email newsletter, you get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching package. Talk about inner work. This is an inner work powerhouse that I give you for free as a member of my email community. Also, new perk starting towards the end of November, as a member of my email community, you will also get access to run a free birth chart and see what placements and degrees you have so that you can use my videos that I make for you, these in-depth videos, in even greater ways. I have so many other resources, including books, my book Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You can find it actually on bookshelves in all the major booksellers in the United States and lots of other countries too. And if it's not there on the shelf when you walk in, you can definitely order it. It's on Amazon. It's pretty much everywhere. And it's a guidebook to help you align with the natural rhythms of the universe. If you'd like to be an astrologer as your profession, or just casually earn some money from your love of astrology, or just help yourself and your friends and family, you will love my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course. If you think I go into lots of details, crazy amount of details in my free offerings, you should see what I give you in that course. So you can check that out at lumelife.com, Lume life.com. I also have some free courses on wellness and abundance at that site, which you can tap into. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.